It's all you, Jerry.
Magic words. Fantastic. Well, I appreciate everyone coming out. I have a screen on my face there and I couldn't get off of there, so I just clicked it. So, but again, thanks very much for everyone coming out. Vito reached out to me a few months ago and asked if I'd be interested in speaking, and I said, sure, what do you want me to talk about? He came back and said, no, whatever you want to talk about. So I wrote up something thinking that it might be an idea we can discuss, and basically verbatim is what we're talking about today. So on that note, I may not tell you something that you don't already know. I may not tell you something new, but over the years, I've had an opportunity to kind of reflect on things. While we're going through life, we really don't think about things all the time. But, we just go through the motions on occasion. So as far as networking goes, that's where I came up with, networking. We're always networking, whether we intentionally do it or we subconsciously or unintentionally do it. Every day we are networking. We wake up in the morning, we're networking with our families, friends, neighbors, coworkers, and such. It's an ongoing process and something that we need to be mindful of, because no matter how we carry ourselves, we're always networking. Kind of like a drop of water in a pond. The pond's nice and glassy, and you hit that water and it trickles around. We kind of have that effect on others as well. Whether you're helping your neighbor or doing your normal thing, we're always giving an aura about ourselves. A couple facts here. It's personal networking or professional networking, however, but HubSpot.com says 85% of jobs are filled through networking. And CNBC mentioned 70% of those jobs are never really published publicly. Sometimes they're even created for a specific skill, and you may never see that public. Again, as we go through life, everything we do says something about us. I'm going to kind of give you some perspectives of what I've had over time, just personal experiences for the most part. And at the time, I had no idea that I was really networking, although I, kind of knew about it. One deal started back when I was in school. Went to Oklahoma State. Tell you a little bit about myself. I originally from Chicago, moved to Oklahoma in summer of '85, right before high school, and just north of Tulsa. Went to Oklahoma State, pledged again Epsilon for our brothers out there, and met a few guys on the floor, and I lived in the residence halls, and met a few people. And some of those people I met that day, I had no idea they were connected indirectly to Delta Sigma Pi, because some of their friends were actually brothers in the chapter. I had a couple of my other floor mates talk me into going to an event, and I met some people, loved the chapter, loved the opportunity, loved the purpose of what we were all about, business ethics and such. So I started going through the process, and lo and behold, my pledge educator happened to go to high school with one of the guys on my floor. So didn't know it at the time, but that was kind of a start of a network. At that point, decided I wasn't going to pledge, and mainly because I already knew who this person was, they kind of took me under their wing and talked me into staying, and I'm very grateful for that. And because of that, I've met brothers from all over the country, people from all over the country. If we're a brother in Delta Sigma Pi, you go to a conference or you're in chapter, you meet people from across the country, and you stay lifelong friends. You may have gone to only 2 or 3 conferences, but it kind of feels like you've known them for quite a while. So that brings that network out even more. A couple other real quick stories. Working in the halls, I was on staff, met my wife, followed her to Missouri, was up there for about a year and a half or so. We decided we were going to come back to Oklahoma for vacation. Took a friend of ours that we met in the halls working on staff together. She'd already graduated, got a job, and we're going to take her out to lunch. And she introduced us around the office, and I ended up getting an interview. Went to lunch, came back in a t-shirt and shorts, interviewed, and got a job. So inadvertently was going to eat lunch and see a friend, and ended up having an opportunity for a job. And almost 25 years later, I'm still with the same company. So little bits and pieces of things over time. Whatever we do, we're always networking. Do you believe there are positive and negative ways to network? Does anybody want to jump in on that? Hey, sounds good. Well, in my opinion, I think there are there's positive networking and negative networking. And one of the ones we talked about earlier is helping out a neighbor. Okay. Boy, that person's such a great person. They helped me out. That kind of sheds a positive light on you. That's kind of positive networking. But if you were going around talking about somebody behind their back or however, that could shed you in a negative light, and that's somewhat of a negative networking. So we've always got to be careful of how we're at. Now, no matter how careful we are, there's always that chance that one person might look at you in the positive light, and for whatever reason, somebody else from a different angle comes in and doesn't like what you said. So you're kind of networking and positively networking at the same time. A lot of that is perspective. And we've also got to watch out our perspectives even in online presences. Now, another networking scenario, my wife, another person that my wife and I worked in the halls together at Oklahoma State, met a couple other people, obviously, and one person in particular, we've stayed friends on Facebook over the years, haven't really talked, but she posted a job opening for a mascot for Eskimo Joe's. Eskimo Joe's is in Stillwater, Oklahoma State, is a very famous, at least in the Stillwater side, hamburger joint, if you will. At one point in time, their T-shirt was the #2 seller behind the Hard Rock Cafe, and she posted a job opportunity for somebody to come and be their mascot for a football game. And my wife, knowing Kendra, sent the information to our son, who was a freshman up there, and he went and interviewed. We didn't tell her that our son was coming over. He went in and interviewed, and after the job interview was over, she asked him, I said, hey, do you happen to be, is your parents happen to be Amy and Jerry Hotwagner? And he said, absolutely. So he got the job on his own, but that's just another opportunity for an indirect networking that you don't even think about. It's difficult at times to always try to be, you're always kind of have a guard up, if you will, to shed yourself in a good light. Some other statistics here. 80% of professionals find that networking is essential to their career. I'm going to open this up. Please jump in here at all if you got any questions or anything like that, because I'll ramble and I may say the same thing a few times. So yes, please, if you put your questions in your chat, if you'd like, however, that'd be great. 100% of the people in that study mentioned face-to-face is preferred, but we don't always have that opportunity right now. Some other examples. You have family networking, if you will. Obviously, everybody knows their family, what they do for a career and such. My other son, his younger son, is also a sophomore up at Oklahoma State, and he's majoring in construction management technology. Well, my cousin's husband just happens to be in the same field. And he now has an opportunity to have an internship with him over the next summer or so. So again, another opportunity for networking. Some other intentional networking, as we all know, is LinkedIn, Facebook here. Vito has done a great job with connecting our fraternity across the country with networking and frac meetings and such. It's just a great opportunity no matter what we're doing. I'm gonna Vito, leave me out. No, we got to bring you into this too. There are sometimes people. I'm gonna open this up too, please. Let's see, do we have any questions here? No questions yet so far.
I do have one. We have one question, Jerry.
Oh, we did? Okay. Where did I miss it here?
Let's say, do you have any perspective on trying to network, like, since some people are going to their first leads in Chicago, us going to Austin, and then there might be one more. You have any advice for them?
Yeah, absolutely. Get to meet as many people as you can. You're in your comfort zone when you're around your fellow chapter friends and such. My suggestion is you get out and meet more people. Now, at first, kind of like even in networking itself, if you're not comfortable with networking in general, you start out with people you know, people you're comfortable with, people you can discuss things, some things you have in common. And that's what we do when we go to our lead school. Sometimes we come with a group of people and we meet up and, hey, it's great to see you. But challenge yourself to get out and about and spread out. Some of the sessions that are at Lead this weekend, it may be enticing just to all go together into the same sessions, break up, go into other sessions, and also meet people there. Get contact information, stay in touch. Your network of chapters and brothers are great to help you in your current chapter back at home. When you go to lunches and dinners and stuff at Lead, try to sit at a different table. Don't sit necessarily with your group that you came with. Challenge yourself. This is a great opportunity for us all, whether we're recently initiated brothers or veteran brothers across the board. It's a great opportunity to test and put yourself outside your comfort level. We're all here for the same main purpose, is to network and have professional development. This gives us an opportunity to challenge ourselves, even if we're outside our comfort zone, but we've got everyone here with a common goal, our brothers, friends. Hey, I fell a little bit on my my networking abilities here today, but hey, don't worry about it. You're good. We got your back. So these are great opportunities for us to go above and beyond what our comfort level is. Even after go ahead. We got a question.
Yeah, Terrence from Xi has a question for you.
Fantastic. Hello, Terrence.
Hey, I just had a quick question. So a lot of times when you're networking, especially in our age, I'm a junior, I know people in this call are freshmen, sophomores. There's often that kind of power dynamic sometimes when you're talking to people, you're looking up to, people you're aspiring to be. I was wondering if you could kind of touch on, kind of tips and like how you would go about, or how you have gone about having those types of conversations.
Appreciate that. It is intimidating when you know of somebody, you may not have not met them. You're, like it says, I want to say 60%, just a quick statistic here, I got to find it. 60% of people consider themselves, 60% of the population considers themselves shy. Okay. Well, whether we're being shy or not, to talk to somebody who you've known, whether it might be a grand officer or or a professional athlete or somebody in the neighborhood that you've heard about that's done great things or just has a high esteem, it is intimidating. That's another opportunity to challenge yourself. Don't be afraid to talk to people. The worst thing they can do is either not talk to you at all, or the good thing is they may strike up a conversation and stick with you on that. I myself have the same type of shyness, if you will, to an extent. I'm not afraid to talk to people. As you can tell, I'm kind of stumbling on my words a little bit here and there because I have a difficult time of just coming up with conversation starters and such. Tips to do it: don't be afraid. Go right up to them, talk to them, stick your hand out, shake their hand, look them in the eye, said, I appreciate it. You may not know who I am, but I know of you and some of the accomplishments you've had. Can you tell me more about that particular situation that you want to talk about? Hey, I see you were a member of Delta Sigma Pi or the Rotary Club or however. Don't be afraid to talk. One lead I went to, I'd never met Bill Schilling before. And I sat outside, was waiting for some brothers to come in from traveling into the school. And Bill and a couple others came in, and I just stood up and stuck my hand out and introduced myself. Very out of character for me in some instances. But yes, that's some opportunities or ideas to reach out. Does that help answer your question some, or do I need to keep going?
No, that's awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey Jerry, we got a question from Iota Phi. How do you make a good first impression when you're networking?
Do all you can to be as confident as you can when you say that. You may inside be nervous, but don't ever hesitate to just put your confidence out there. Again, chances are the person that you're getting ready to talk to may have the same shyness or concerns before they come up to you. So just because you have a little bit of hesitance to do it, go for it. Talk to them.
Hey Jerry, what's a good way to share your LinkedIn with someone, or like especially with us being in virtual settings nowadays or in hybrid settings? What's a good way for people to do that intro to, hey, here's my LinkedIn, like that type of networking?
Originally when LinkedIn came about, and it still may be true to an extent, okay, you don't reach out to anybody you don't know. You look for somebody within your network to go ahead and introduce you. Well, that works fine because that helps you get in the door even faster. But again, don't hesitate to reach out to the individual. You might explain to them why you're reaching out right off the bat to break the ice, or ask accordingly. I know we're not in network connections together. Would you mind if I asked you a question about whatever, if you're interested in a job or in their field that they're at? That's a good opportunity. Now, I wouldn't necessarily go and ask them, hey, do you have a job for me? Because from what one of the options is when you're networking and you're looking for a job, you don't necessarily just go and ask about the job. Ask more about the industry or the job that the company that they're working for. And another thing too is, if you're going to, if you find somebody in the network on LinkedIn that works in a company or a field that you are wanting to enter, do a little homework before you even get to that point. If it's the company you're wanting to work for and the person who works there, do a little due diligence, know some of the facts behind the company, why it started, and hey, I just saw an article the other day about this. Can you give me some more information on that, or elaborate a little bit more? I'm interested to learn more.
That's great. Do you think I know me and Omar have known each other like 8 years or whatever. We met at the St. Louis lead. And I only realized this year that me and Omar weren't connected on LinkedIn. Funny enough. So it kind of goes with the question one of the collegiates asked us: do you think we should add our friends on LinkedIn to grow our network and they may someone we should know, or should we deter from that?
Right.
Uh,
We've over time we have heard, and sometimes even in professional development sessions, sometimes people have a professional. Now this is probably more for Facebook, but or Instagram or however. Sometimes people have a personal profile and then a professional profile. That's another thing, especially with online. We're always having to watch what we're doing. Um, everybody, once it's out there, it's out there. As far as having your friends in your LinkedIn, I don't see a problem with that. LinkedIn is obviously more of a professional platform. Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram, more so, maybe more of a social. And it also is, there's a lot of businesses out there that operate on Facebook, advertising and such. Grow your network as you can, but also be cautious, because your immediate contacts may be fine, but somewhere down the line, maybe there's somebody out there that's posted something that may be off key or however. Unfortunately, we've got to look at those extra steps when we're talking about networking. So grow your network as much as you can. Absolutely.
Great. And if you guys want to put your LinkedIn's in the chat, go ahead. It's a great way to expand on it right now. Do you think networking changes throughout your lifetime, like from when you're in your 20s getting out of college to your late 20s when you're finding yourself to your 30s, or do you think networking stays kind of constant?
Well, first and foremost, I appreciate you stopping at the 30s right there. So I think no matter where you start networking is always ongoing and always changing. I work in an oil well service company, and oil field wise, you've got a lot of veteran industry workers that started out without any social media or internet or email and such, and now we're fully at each other's fingertips for the most part. It's a different mindset. If you're not comfortable with the technology, it could be difficult to network in that aspect, and vice versa. If you're familiar with technology and it's a no-brainer, hey, this is the great way to go. Sometimes we've got to be mindful of our audience, just like we've learned in comp. When you're writing a paper, whether it's English or history or whatever, you got to be mindful of your audience. And same thing with networking. Just be mindful of that, because over time, yes, to answer your question, from the time I started networking, if you will, and to really intentionally networking, it has changed over time. But no matter what level or what part of your life you are in your networking life cycle, if you will, be open-minded to all aspects of networking, not just, hey, I only do text messaging or Instagram. Hey, some of us over the 30s still work with a little Facebook on occasion too. So
Nice. Do you have any, I guess it kind of goes back to the good impression thing. Do you have any advice for kind of how to start the conversation?
Start the conversation, just networking in general.
Yeah.
If it's somebody you don't know and you don't know anything about them, you're sitting at this is just a quick sidebar here. When I'm out and about and I see somebody and we make eye contact, I just say, hey, how's it going? Sometimes they say something back, sometimes they don't. That's kind of the same way with just starting out. Again, don't be afraid to try to say something to somebody. hey, have a good day. Sometimes it sparks a conversation. Matter of fact, I was at, where was I at yesterday? I was actually picking out a Valentine's Day card for my wife. And the gentleman walked up and he says, "Oh my gosh," he said, "I got to get the card." I said, "Yeah." He says, "Yeah, my wife always tells me, don't worry about getting anything for me. But as soon as I don't, I'm in hot water." I said, "I understand." So I didn't know the man. He didn't know me. We struck up a conversation. So that's kind of networking. Now, will I ever see this gentleman again? I don't know. But if I do, hopefully we'll remember the Valentine's Day card deal. To start out, though, sometimes it's just as simple as saying hello.
Copy. What do you think with Delta Sigma Pi obviously being everyone on the call being a Delta Sig? What advice do you have for networking with alumni that aren't alumni from your chapter, or collegiates even that are not from your chapter?
Remember, as far as brotherhood goes, we're all brothers. Doesn't make any difference. That's our common ground as brothers in Delta Sigma Pi. Doesn't matter if we're, again, somebody who is in the pledging process. We're still learning at that point in time, to being recently initiated or a veteran brother, or a long-term brother. Again, don't ever hesitate to walk up to somebody and just say hello. It's really easy when we're all wearing our letters, because we can all just walk, "Hey, Delta Sig, how you doing? Where you from?" All that. At these leads, visit with people. Just visit with them. You'll get to know them. Now, I have noticed, though, on occasion, though, too, once everybody's getting ready to go home, everybody kind of just reverts back to, "Hey, I'm ready to go home," and you don't necessarily have your letters on or not, but don't hesitate to ask them, "Hey, I saw you at that session the other day. You made a great point. I'd like to exchange information with you. I'd like to follow up with you on that topic that we were talking about." So looks like we do. Do we have another hand?
Yeah, Terrence from Zai actually.
Yeah, sorry. I just want to take this opportunity to ask as many questions as I can. But
Go for it. And anybody else too. Apologize. Vito too, if you don't mind too, we can open it up for others to join in on the answers too. But please continue, Terrence.
Thank you. So, from your perspective, now that I guess you're not like a college student anymore, you're on the other side, I guess, of like networking.
Yes.
What kind of advice do you have for, people? So for example, like in our chapter now, we hold events for people interested in joining DSP. And the dynamic is very much different, right? Now that others kind of you're the person people want to network with,
Okay.
instead of you being the one, actively networking with others. So I just wanted to hear what you have to say about like that side of networking, being on kind of the other receiving end of networking.
That's an interesting perspective. When we're a collegiate brother, we're looking for those alumni contacts. When we're alumni, we may not necessarily be networking in the right manner as reaching back out to our collegiate brothers.
And I'm going to add to that, Jerry. A few of us may, this is Gail.
Yes, Gail.
From time to time, you never know if an alumni brother is revamping their career or re-entering the job market. So don't assume. You may find that there's alumni brothers at a lead or a grand chapter, for example, who are networking for their next gig, their next whatever. So it really has, the market has changed, and I would expect we're going to be in more of a mutual advancement opportunities coming to us, which I think is awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you. That's that's another perspective that I didn't even think about. Again, I've been fortunate to have my job for almost 25 years. So I wasn't even thinking about that. So along what Terrence was saying too, how do we go forth with doing that with each other? On my side of it, I'm still when I go to lead events or grand chapter, however, I'm always trying to network. Now I may not be that good at it, but that's a good perspective, Gail, too, that no matter where we are in our, I call the alumni life cycle or our Delta Sig life cycle, if you want to call it that, be open-minded and take that into consideration. Thank you very much for that perspective, Gail. Does that help, Terrence, a little bit? If not,
Yeah,
tell us.
thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
But to go back to that, everyone has different experiences, whether we're in school or out of school or restarting our career, trying to rekindle our career and such. We've all got different experiences. And in some ways they might be on the same, have something in common with that. Our alumni brothers on the call here, please jump in here. I don't think we're going to find any brothers at the events or even outside of the events that are not going to be willing to help you out. Now, we may not be able to get you a job, but we can at least try to guide you or give you some pointers and or try to guide you to, hey, I know someone, brother Co is in this industry over here. Reach out to him, or if you'd like me to make that connection, kind of like the LinkedIn deal. You don't necessarily have to have that network connection before you have somebody else introduce you, is what I'm saying. So, but again, I think no matter what it is, whether it's fraternity related, business related, career related, in my experience, all brothers that I've come across or been around with, collegiate or alumni, are always willing to help each other.
So it's kind of like that. What did Tim Augustine always used to say? Those 10 degrees of separation kind of thing.
Yep.
Like I know, Terrence asked me if I know someone in investment banking or do I know anything about it. I may not know anyone, but I can contact 5 people and then one of them knows somebody who knows someone else and that kind of whole thing. So it's like, even if someone that you ask for help can't help you exactly what you want, that doesn't mean they're not connected to someone that can point you in the right direction or align you with someone. Like I had no idea that Jerry worked in the oil industry, and now if any of my undergrads or anyone I know wants to know about the oil industry, I'm like, well, I actually know a guy. So that whole thing there. And also I would say, don't ever think you can't be of help to someone else in networking, because sometimes you're always looking for someone to help you, but sometimes when you help someone else, it ends up coming back to you later because, hey, you met someone at Elite, you met someone on a call like this, and then all these years later, you see them on LinkedIn and you move across state lines and now you see that they're in the same state and now you can try to network and make it though, make that connection that way. So just because you don't need a resource now doesn't mean my dad used to always say, just because you don't need a pencil right now doesn't mean you shouldn't put a pencil when you find it into your toolkit, because you may need it one day.
Absolutely.
What about our collegiates who, obviously with the DSP experience, leads are the best way to network. What about those that can't make it out to a lead, or, given we're still in a COVID pandemic, or we know leads very expensive and sometimes people can't make the travel. What are some advice you have for them to network either inside the fraternity, outside the fraternity, or things of that nature?
Follow up with if you can't go to a conference, follow up with those who have. Again, that's a perfect opportunity to break the ice for networking opportunity. I had my chapter brother said they saw you at Lead in Austin. Hey, can you tell me more about that session you put on? It's in virtual, with the virtual world right now, and again, I'd have to look at it. A lot of times in the past, there was always opportunities to what was it, hashtags and such like that for Twitter and everything. That, you know, you're not necessarily there, but you can tweet something and everybody at the banquet can see your message and such. And even now virtually with Zoom and such, I know in chapters we'll have Zoom, especially with COVID and such. So there's an opportunity for somebody who can be there, but then they can't be there. And I have not been to a lead at all this season yet. As anybody can attest, has there been any Zoom opportunities for lead, the ones that we just had recently?
I think in the Northeast we did a Zoom call, and we did Zoom for the banquet, but not necessarily the hybrid model, just for the provincial council meeting. But I'm sure there are a bunch of group chats going on, and collegians were finding ways to connect those who weren't there and all that. And I have a feeling with everyone going to Austin and Chicago and wherever they are in the West, it's going to be the same thing. So,
Right.
Mark, you have a question?
No, I was just gonna add to like how people who don't go to lead can connect with other people. So I know after our chapter came back from lead, they talked about how I believe it was the Cincinnati chapter, how us and them were talking about doing some kind of joint event. And then also, I don't know if you guys know of Kent State. They're kind of in the Cleveland area. Some of our people who went to lead actually connected with some of them, and they said anyone is welcome to go to some kind of get together or something at the end of the year. I don't remember exactly what it was, but yeah, just from the people who went to lead, it kind of gave an opportunity for our whole chapter to go and meet some of the other chapters.
I would suggest to our collegiate chapters, especially, if you were thinking of moving to a particular area of the country, find out if there's an alumni chapter has a Facebook page or something, join their group so you can converse, hey, I'm coming for a company visit. I want to meet a couple people for dinner, or start the conversation, get to know a few people in the area. The other one is happy hours or socials. Even the virtual socials, it's an opportunity to at least get to know somebody for 30 minutes. And I think I've met more brothers in the last 2 years online in frac meetings than I met over 30 years in the fraternity. So I've met a lot of brothers, but there's some good, deeper relationships that happen. And I know we have Zoom fatigue and a few other things, but it is an opportunity to at least build a few things. The challenge here is to find out what social media outlets the alumni are on that you're trying to reach. They may not be on Snapchat. They're more likely to be on Facebook or on LinkedIn. See what conversations they follow. See what topics they follow. If you're following a brother who's commenting on a lot of things on LinkedIn, pay attention to what they're commenting on that might play toward your career goal.
I would also say, as we are Delta 6, but we're also part of that family of being in Greek letter organizations. If you see someone from your university, or maybe someone university, or someone liked it on LinkedIn that they joined another organization, including AK Psi or Phi Gamma Nu or something of that nature, we may not all be the same Greeks, but there's a certain level of camaraderie I found, especially in our younger 20s when we're still collegiates or just out of college, that you're a Greek, I'm a Greek, I'm reaching out, let's connect. And even if you're not trying to get a job from them, again, it's one of those things of you see what they're doing, you're trying to follow them, see what they're doing, and you never know how that'll pan out. I'm personally someone that's moved around the country. I've moved coast to coast twice now, and a lot of my connections are members of Greek letter organizations. And it's that commonality that helps you just because you're in one box, which is DSP, doesn't mean that doesn't help you get into other boxes. Because when you get in the professional world, you're going to be working with more people that have been in a lot of different organizations, not just Delta Sig. So, you know, use your network to network with other networks, and then your network becomes a giant network. You know, it's just like the alumni chapters, honestly. Like, we may be all from different alumni chapters, alumni group, a bunch of collegiate group, but the bigger network is DSP. So look at it from that outer perspective as well. Oh, we got another question, Jerry. What is a good way to network with someone when you have no connection to them? So I'm thinking this question is probably when you found someone on LinkedIn, or you see someone that you think is interesting or something like that at a conference or at a coffee shop or something. Like, that's a legit cold call. What advice do you have to initiate that conversation?
I'll go off of what Gail was mentioning. If you find somebody on there that you want to engage with, look into what they're interested in. That'll break the ice. Yeah, I noticed you're part of this group. I've got a question about that, or just write all out. Make the connection. Or if you do know somebody that's affiliated or connected with that person, then you can reach out. If you're not comfortable doing it yourself, ask for that introduction. I can't stress enough. This is a great opportunity for us all, whether it's in Delta Sig or not, to step outside of our comfort level and network. Because again, as we're always networking, the worst a person can do is tell you, I don't want to talk to you, or tell you no. So you don't know till you ask.
You got that right. Even if you have any advice for those that are shy, I think you, Gail, Jeanette, know I was really shy, and I'm still pretty dang on shy. So our collegiates have that kind of. What advice do you have for them to get over that stage fright?
We'll open it up to everybody on that one too. I think we're all shy to an extent. Don't just think, if you're shy and thinking that it's intimidating to go talk to somebody. Again, chances are they may be feeling the same way to an extent. Don't be afraid. That's the main thing. Find some kind of common ground to visit about, or even just saying hello. Sometimes the hello itself breaks the ice in order to get the conversation going.
I would. Oh, go ahead, Gail.
No, go ahead, Janine, please. Jeanette.
I would definitely second Jerry, because I also am prone to moments of shyness, but at the same time, I will talk to, I will talk to total strangers. And part of it is because I've made a conscientious effort to break that pattern of shyness. So if there is something specifically you want to reach out to that person about, I would say practice. Put together your 30-second elevator speech of why you want to talk to them, what you want that connection, what you would hope to gain from that connection, and what you have to offer in that connection.
Yeah, really, and I was going to go for the elevator speech as well. Is it helps to know what is it you're seeking, what do you want, that you have some kind of a, if you're looking, do you have a statement of what you're looking for? You're looking for an industry, you're looking for a position, looking to get your foot in the door, or you're just looking to know more about, you're exploring. That's still a fair topic, to be exploring marketing, to be exploring HR, and to Jerry's point, if I see that somebody seems to click on a lot of HR conversations on LinkedIn, or they're following particular podcast folks connected to HR on LinkedIn, you might even say, hey, I noticed you like a lot of these. Why? What got you started following Liz Ryan or some of these other podcasters? Is it just sort of a quirky interest in them, or is there something about that particular person, or you actually know them? Because you can't tell until you have that conversation.
So I'm guessing you guys feel the elevator pitch is important in networking.
If you're networking with a purpose, absolutely. If you're networking just because you would like to meet that person, then you can approach it with a little more of a casual approach. But if you have a purpose behind that network connection, yes, you definitely want to have that elevator pitch, so you present your best case.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll also say with that, to our collegiate brothers especially, if you're scared to network or you don't know how to do the elevator pitch, or you want to make an introduction with someone that's a brother, knock on your DD's door and ask them to help you with that. I mean, I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot here because one of my collegiates is on here, but yeah, ask your DD, like, hey, do you know anyone in this industry or in this part of the country? And they can help connect you, because majority of DDs out there can at least get to their RVP, and their RVP has a network of people that you can go through. So just because, you don't have to do the hard work by yourself. You may not know someone that lives in, I don't know, Tampa Bay, Florida, but I'm pretty sure through that chain of people, somebody can get us connected with somebody in Tampa Bay, Florida. So, use the people around you to help yourself, to help yourself. You joined the brotherhood for a reason here.
Utilize your network, absolutely.
We're almost coming up on time. Does anyone have any last minute questions before I give it to Jerry to close out? Oh, actually, this is an interesting question, Jerry. Do you think business cards are still very important to have on your person? Or do you think there's a new alternative or a secondary alternative that we should be looking at?
Well, I'll answer to the best of my ability, but I'll open it up for my fellow brothers who may have better understanding of that. But business cards, I think, are still valid, especially when you're maybe need to make your elevator pitch. You have your elevator pitch. Here's my card. Hopefully, we can discuss some things. It gives it's an easy way to hand somebody your information. Maybe they jot down the back of the card, or maybe that's actually a suggestion. If somebody hands you a business card, turn around as soon as you can, write down where that connection was made. I was in the airport waiting on, we discussed, I don't know, Garrett's Popcorn in Chicago or something like that. That way, when you go back to it, oh yeah, I meant to reach out to that person, or I need to make that connection because I thought of something after we left. So I do believe they are important. Now, all other alternatives, obviously we can text our information to each other, but I'm going to open that back up to our fellow brothers here to put in some insight as well.
Can I speak into that?
Sure.
Yeah, so I actually just left the networking event where I did have my business cards. Well, my experience is business cards are critical. And also, I believe a QR code on the business card is what makes it modern. So I think putting that on a card is the key, because you do want to give someone something modern. And I've tried the virtual only business cards, and it's just not substantial enough. You need something to write on. We want to hold on to something like tangible. And I think a business card is important, but we do have to stay up with what's modern. You can't just leave an outdated business card with 80s looking branding and think that's going to suffice. For me, my update is to put a QR code on everything.
I use those. If you hand me a business card, I'm going to hit the QR code and expect that I can get to your LinkedIn and connect.
Yeah.
I want a little white space or neutral color space where I can write. Don't hand me an all black card. I don't carry white pens. I carry purple pens. I used to have my elevator speech actually on the back of my card. So the front side was very simple, name, address, LinkedIn. It was before QR. I'm old. And on the back, I had my, two sentence, what I was looking for as a project manager. So it was ready to see, and there was still white space around it, and had a fleur-de-lis design on one corner that set mine aside from everybody else in the stack of white business cards.
I'll add this, that business cards are important, but something I would do, especially if you know you're going to a networking event or going to a league, going to something of that nature, on the clipboard of your phone where you can copy and paste, add your LinkedIn profile or your Instagram profile, Facebook profile, whatever you want to share with someone, your website, add that URL to your clipboard. So once you make that connection with them, you can automatically send it via text, send it via Facebook, send it via whatever the case may be, just as another virtual means of doing so. And also there's ways to add QR codes to your phone, so you can just have someone scan from their phone to their phone. So have those things ready, as I would say.
I love that tip. I'm actually going to use that next week when I go to another networking event. Thank you so much for that tip.
Vito, would you recommend, along with your LinkedIn profile, just your contact information as well? Or do you rely on once you make that connection, they can connect on LinkedIn? Or
I would say depending on what type of networking you're doing, because or have two separate QR codes, because maybe you're meeting someone at a lead and you want to become lifelong friends, like Omar and me have been friends for like 10 years now. I mean, if I could go back and just do a QR code, like, here's my number, here's my email, here's my LinkedIn, or have just one for my LinkedIn, that would be great. But just know what type of networking you're doing. So if you're trying to make friends and then just grow your general network, like at a lead, and you want their number, have a QR code for that, but also have one with like your website and or your LinkedIn or something professional. That way, you don't want to just give out your phone number to almost anybody. So just have two sets ready to go.
that makes sense.
But we are going to come up on time in a moment. Do you have any last remarks, Jerry?
I like your idea there, Gail, about handing out your business card at the networking bingo at lead events and such. I appreciate everybody. I appreciate Vito for asking me to do this. I will hone my speaking skills, hopefully for the future. And again, whatever we do, we're always networking. As some of the examples that I gave, the stories that I had, it came full circle for me by having met friends in college to turn back around and come back, and I actually got a job out of it. Or we met people over here that posted a job, and another family member ended up getting a job, not because we got the job for them, but there was just that connection to, hey, I know that person, I know that job, hey, bring it on. But we've also got to remember positive versus negative networking. We're always representing ourselves, our families, our businesses, our fraternity, our organizations, and everything we do. And above all, don't be afraid to go up to somebody and have a conversation. Find some kind of common ground to break that ice. If nothing else, just say hello. With that, I hope I get to see you all at a future event. And please don't hesitate to contact me. I'm on LinkedIn. I didn't post my link in there, but I'm always available. jerry.hotwagner@yahoo.com, or I'm on Facebook and such. So thank you, everybody. And Vito, appreciate you very much. And thanks for giving me the opportunity to babble.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Jerry. I really appreciate it. And I'll end it with the magic words right about